everyone, it's Delix. So, welcome to the series where I take your hot takes on Naruto, give you my opinions, and I give you what you came for. If the lighting is shit in this video, I apologize. This is my first time recording this series at night. So, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna get this started. We need to see more of what Hiruzen is capable of. Many people considered him the strongest shinobi, even though we have Hashirama with his big trees, muscles, and what made the Byakugan more powerful than the Sharingan. In Shippuden, it all changed. I just rewatched the second half of the war in Naruto. As you guys know, I have always said the second half of the war arc was my favorite. It's the most I got out of it in the entire war arc. It's the second half is still a mess, but it's the least that I got the most enjoyable entertainment out of it, if that makes sense. But when I was rewatching it this time, I was thinking to myself, why is Hiruzen using Shadow Clone Shuriken Jutsu against Obito, knowing he was considered the god of shinobi, yet he's using part 1 techniques against Obito as a Jinchuriki, which he clearly just goes through them. To me, that made him look like a joke. I mean, I get it, Kishimoto wrote himself in a hole where he doesn't have a lot of plans for all the characters and their powers. Like, Kakashi was known as the copycat ninja, yet he never showed those 1,000 jutsus that it was told to us that he mastered. So he didn't plan ahead, so it's more like a title, but he didn't really prove it. The only Hokage that actually got that title and proved his worth was Minato and Hashirama, in my opinion. And Hiruzen, he had perfect opportunities in the war to be a badass and show us his legacy, but it didn't happen. We just have to blame Kishimoto for that. But you know, he had so many ideas for Naruto, but a lot of it just, he didn't plan ahead, and we got the downfall of it. But Hiruzen needed to, yes, I agree, needed to show more of his worth, why he's considered the god of shinobi compared to Hashirama, because everything did change in Shippuden. I don't like all Naruto's forms after Sage Mode. Naruto limits all disappeared, and he just spammed Rasengan and its variations, which ended up making most of the fights with him less interesting. Same thing, Sasuke EMS, who just spams Susanoo with Black Flames. Okay. So, like I said in my video when I said Naruto wasn't about power, and those who think Naruto is just about power, you watched Naruto the wrong way. Like I said in that video, that in part 1, clearly Zabuza and Kakashi trained their bodies and their martial arts to do what they did in their battle, and clearly Haku trained himself along with Zabuza training him with his martial arts and training and his skills and his reflexes. Zabuza specifically said that I created Haku for what he is today. Like, I taught him everything I knew. And in Shippuden, in the war arc especially, when you have so much power, you don't really fear anything, and that defeated the purpose of what it meant to be a shinobi in part 1, to put your life on the line. When Neji fought his battle with Kiba, you felt that weakness, that Neji was at his limit. You felt the need when Kiba was at his last moments, either stab myself or let this guy take over my body. You know, like I said in that video, specifically what you had in your arsenal in that moment, or what your bodies were trained to do in that specific moment, it's all that you had left to survive in a ninja battle. And they kind of threw that all out of the window. Sasuke as well. When he was limited after using Kirin against Itachi and it didn't work because of a Susanoo, you see that fear that Sasuke's like, what do I do? Like, you saw that and you felt that. In the war arc, everyone has so much power. There's not much of fear going on anymore because you're so brave. You know, like I said in that video again, Naruto feared pain because he was limited at that point. There was nothing he could have done. But since he has KCM 2 and 6 Paths mode, and KCM 1 as well, the original KCM, he has so much power where he could just do whatever he wants. There's no fear. There's no... You can't grow as a person if you don't lose. If you win every battle, then you become arrogant and cocky. And that's what Itachi even told Naruto. It was like, dude, you have too much power. It's going to your head. You can't just throw everyone out the window just because you have power. If you forget everyone who got you this far in life, you're going to forget what really matters. And the work was basically that. It's like you don't have the fear. You don't have that moments that can push you to go further. Because when you have power, you don't have to have fear. You don't have to have weakness to grow. Like, those moments in part 1 is what made the show what it was. Is that when your body was limited or your skills were limited, you were going to die. Or when you were on the verge of death, you know? They took all that away in the war arc. And now everyone survives. Everyone wins. People have a lot of power. And it's ridiculous. I agree, man. Not to mention, I will say it again, I do like KCM 2, just because KCM 2 with Naruto and Kurama, they're both working together in that same form. KCM 1, my problem with KCM 1 is that Naruto had so much power just given to him. He was like a show-off, and it just didn't really work in his character, in my opinion. KCM 2 felt more balanced and it felt more fair, in my opinion. And I've already ranted about the 6 pass mode. If you like the form, that's fine, but why that form exists, I do not agree with. Madara is too strong for the series. Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand. Like, people are loving the power scaling in Boruto because it's everything is about fights and being overpowered and shit. And it's like people are forgetting what made Naruto. It wasn't about the power scaling or god strong creatures of aliens and androids. You know, the power scaling is growing in the Boruto universe. And Madara was the first to go to that next level. Well, him and Obito. And we didn't need to see the universe grow even bigger with its power scaling. Like, they're turning Boruto, to me, is turning the Naruto universe into a Dragon Ball Z. Even though I do know that it started in the war arc of Naruto, but Boruto is making it much worse. So, since the power scaling grew bigger because of Madara, mostly, everything is just going to get higher and higher, and it's very disappointing. Because when I go back to Sasuke versus Orochimaru, or even Kiba versus Sakon, and Rock Lee and Gaara versus Kibimaru, like, you can feel the limits of them of being a person, of what they're only able to do for a certain period of time. And when that time runs out, you can feel the fear with them. And you know they're going to live or die. It's not like someone's going to constantly keep rescuing them, you know? It's like, work with what you have, and if after that power and after that skill set is gone, it's all up to you, man, after that. And that's why Gaara told Lee that I got lucky back there. Like, I was out of chakra. You know, that's all I had. I threw everything I had at Kibimaru. He was about to end me. You know, he almost stabbed him right into the eye. So, yeah, the power scaling started with Madara. He was too over the top with the universe of Naruto. He was too strong for the show, definitely. That's why Naruto and Sasuke had to get bullshit god powers, and it didn't do anything. Madara looked at him like, huh, so you ready to go, motherfuckers? Like, Madara did not care that they got the 6 pass powers. He went in and he tried to end them, but the whole Black Zetsu shit happened. But yeah, the power scaling in Naruto really, it's what damaged it. Like, when true fans of Naruto, in my opinion, will understand me when I say Naruto was not about power. Just because it's a shonen battle anime, it doesn't mean that's all it was about, was the power scaling. Go back and rewatch part 1 and you'll see why people love the characters more than the power scaling. That's just my view on it. A lot of people love Rinnegan Sasuke, I do too, but I felt like Kishimoto contradicted his goal. If Sasuke never had a little reunion with Edo Itachi, could have probably been the best villain. So, I think Sasuke made up his mind in front of the Hokage, but after he got that magic purple eye Rinnegan shit, he was like, world domination. I'm gonna capture the Tell Beasts. I'm going to end the 5 Kage's lives, and I'm gonna start a new journey. If he did not get that Rinnegan, Sasuke would have just kept it low, because I don't understand. It's like Kishimoto finally wrote Sasuke to finally make up his mind. That's why he resurrected the Hokage, to get his answer. But when he got that magical purple eyeball, it shifted to a whole different landscape, in my opinion. And everything went back to destruction, chaos, and order, restoring everything. You know, I'm changing the world. It's like, did we have to go to this direction again? I don't know. That's just my view on it. Taka Sasuke is crazy. I know people mentioned this before, but Pain should have stayed as leader of the Akatsuki while Obito stayed on the side and acted on his own, like trying to achieve Sasuke while Pain calls the shots for the rest of the Akatsuki members. I know the members didn't know of Obito and followed Pain's orders, but I didn't like the idea of Obito calling the shots for Pain to tell the others members he should have become leader after Nagato died. Okay. So, like we mentioned this in the comment section, by the way, there's no proof, like the story tells you that Obito was truly the mastermind, but on screen, we didn't see Obito give him any direct orders, and Pain was the one that told Obito that, I think it's time to go get the Nine Tails, and Obito's like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, it was going to happen regardless, but Pain still brought up the awareness that, hey, let's go capture the Nine Tails. You know, that was Pain's decision. Sure, they talked about it, and this is the thing that I think. Like, what if Conan and Pain were using Obito to locate the Tail Beasts for their goals, and they're just playing house with Obito, like, yeah, we care about your plan, your dreams, and me, Conan right here, I'm definitely not planning to blow you up in a few arcs, and I'm definitely not going to try to kill you. Like, no, we're good pals, and we're definitely not going to control all the wars. We're definitely going with your, like, no, I don't know. I just feel like they pretended and they acted like they cared about him, but I still believe that Obito truly believed that they actually had a good relationship, or whatever they had. I think Obito believed that they were on good terms, but I think Nagato was still on the board of, I want to finish Yadako's dream. I want to carry on his wishes. Because if he had to choose, I think Pain would go for Yadako's dream than Obito's. And I don't think Pain supported Obito's goal. In the anime, it was stated that Pain and Conan both knew of Obito's plan, but in the manga it wasn't stated. I don't know why the animators wrote extra dialogue that was not in the manga, because it confused me for a long time. But Pain, to our knowledge, was the leader, and he was giving orders, and he was making, you know, arrangements with Kakuzu, with gathering money, and they were doing missions before the Tail Beast hunt, and I don't know what this really has to do with Obito. Like, I don't think Obito cares about money. I don't think he cares about the Akatsuki in general. Pain was the one who actually told one of the Akatsuki members to not, like, talk shit about Hidan or Kakuzu. I think he was calling out Deidara, I think. Pain specifically said that you shouldn't say such things. They were our comrades, so you can tell that Pain cared about the organization of his goal. Obito, like, he was thankful that he got what he wanted, but I don't feel like he actually cared or cared enough to really care what they wanted or what they wanted to do after. But I think Pain really wanted to keep everyone together as possible, because without them his goal wouldn't be achieved. But that's just my opinion. But for the most part, we know that every time when Pain was alone, far from Obito, he would always claim that he was the leader. And Conan even said to Obito's face that you were not the founder, it was Yadako. So I don't know, like, I don't know. Like, I guess Pain was always the leader the entire time. We don't really have proof that Obito gave him any direct orders, but the story tries to tell you that Obito was the true mastermind giving orders, but I don't know. I really don't know, because Kishimoto did not flush out their relationship well. Like, I think he just missed a few things. I have my perspective, you have your perspective, but I think Obito's and Pain's relationship, I think there was some bullshit going on and mistrust. I brought this topic like 5 times already on this series, so I apologize. But when I get Pain and Obito comments, like, I have to go in this detail, because it's what I think about when I hear Obito and Pain in the same sentence. But that's my take on it. Pain should have still been the leader, which technically, like we were talking about, I guess he was, because Obito didn't really, wasn't on screen telling Pain to do this or this. It's mostly what the story's implying, but we didn't really see it there with our own eyes. But yeah, Pain was a better leader regardless compared to Obito. Pain was a much better villain and leader. I miss Pain, bro. I miss Pain. I know Naruto versus Sasuke was a disappointment to the most of the build-up in the series. Okay. I don't like the part 2 fight. I think it was forced. I think Naruto went to go beat Sasuke's ass because everyone's is in the infinite Tsukuyomi. Kakashi is useless without his Sharingan. Sakura can't do anything against Sasuke because she was in a Genjutsu. It feels like Naruto's only fighting Sasuke because he has to, regardless, because no one else can. Like, I feel like Naruto just did it just because I have to do it. You know, it wasn't on a mission, it wasn't by a personal decision. He just knows that he has to kick Sasuke's ass because if he doesn't, well then we're all screwed. But in part 1, there was a connection why Naruto was so emotional and why he was heartbreaking that Sasuke's trying to kill him and he felt like a brother to him and you felt that connection there. And in part 2, it's just like, well, I guess we can fight. I mean, I don't want to kill you, but we can fight. Hey, if you punch my face, I'll punch your face. Like, I don't know. I don't like the part 2 fight. The power scaling is awesome to look at, but it's nothing compared to the original fight with the taijutsu, in my opinion. Their first fight is a masterpiece. Their part 2 fight is take it or leave it for me. But regardless, I don't like the part 2 fight at all. People like it. I don't. But was it a disappointment? That really depends on you and your perspective of the show and Naruto and Sasuke. But in my opinion, it's an alright fight. It's an entertaining fight, but it's just not. It's not something I would want to put on a top 5 or a top 10. Like, their part 2 fight is just not good in my opinion. But that's just how I see it. But if you're talking about Naruto and Sasuke laying down, covered in blood, and talking about their feelings, that is different. That was good. I'd rather Sasuke die, but it's what we got. So I think I would choose their feeling conversation over the fight itself. I know it's kind of bad, but that's just how I feel. But if it was a disappointment or not, like I said, it really depends on you and anyone who's watching this, if it led up to the hype or not. But for me, I guess it did. To me, I felt like the part 2 fight was completely forced, but yeah, that's how I saw it. Itachi's a mid character, and people think he's overrated, and people think that he's a plot device for Sasuke, and I get it. Even if Itachi's a plot device, Itachi, in my opinion, is still a better character than Sasuke. I'm sorry. Itachi, like, you understand his journey and his sacrifices. You get the emotions, you get the pain that he went through. And Sasuke goes through such a roller coaster of a fucking journey where you really you do, like, criticize him, and you do question what does Sasuke really want with Itachi. He's more simple to understand. I think Itachi is overrated when people say that he can beat anybody in a fight, but as a character, I think he's well deserved. I do believe Itachi is well deserved as a character, but I would still prefer Pain and Jiraiya over Itachi. Honestly, I really prefer those two over Itachi, just because, like, I think Jiraiya, we actually got to see more of his backstory and his journey and his communication with people. Same with Pain / Nagato's backstory, Yuriko, Konan. We got to see his parents die, we got to see the relationship build, and how they grew to survive by stealing food, and we get to see the death of Yuriko dying. Like, there was more there with them. But when we finally found out the truth of Itachi, what he did and his sacrifices, it's like, oh, Itachi, but you're dead. And then we move on. And then Hitachi's just a name that's been thrown around. And then he comes back later, and then I mean, I like his goodbye to Sasuke, but I don't like his fight with Kabuto. I feel like Itachi could have been handled better in the war, in my opinion. But if Itachi was a plot device for Sasuke, that's really a good argument, because I can't blame people for thinking that. That is fair criticism. But is Itachi truly overrated? Yes and no. I think he's overrated, and I also think he's well deserved. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. There are too many redemption arcs. I fucking agree. I'm fine with it happening 2 or 3 times, but after a while, it's just too much, and some of them weren't even as good. Zabuza was... The thing about Zabuza with Tag no Jutsu is that, in my opinion, Zabuza did care about Haku, but Naruto just finally brought those emotions out that were always there, but he just tried to hide them, and he even said that we're human. Shinobi are human. No matter how hard we try, we fail. Even I failed. So he basically brought something alive that was always in Zabuza, but it finally came out because he told Zabuza that Haku lived for you, died for you, protected you. He cared about you, and what you gave him, nothing. I think the Talk no Jutsu in Zabuza was really amazing, well done, and very unexpectedly to happen to Zabuza if you watch Naruto for the first time. Gaara and Naruto's Talk no Jutsu thing made sense because they both had the same lives. So on a personal connection, it made sense. Now then, Nagato's Talk no Jutsu, like, to me, it's taken me forever. I keep talking about it. I need to make a video why I believe that the Nagato situation, Talk no Jutsu thing, was more being talked down. I feel like it was more deeper than that, and there was a deep understanding and connection there because they were both sibling students. I still would have liked, well, this is what I would prefer, for Nagato to agree and respect Naruto after the conversation, but Nagato doesn't die. He leaves with Konan, and then they plan to go attack Obito at some point to get those Tel Bs. It's like, Naruto, I agree with you, I understand you, but I'm still doing what I want to do, which is fulfill Yadiko's dream. I would love that rather than him dying. To work with Nagato, people like it and people really disagree with it. I think it worked well for what we got, but if I could change it, I definitely would. Now, Obito, no. When I go back to White Mask Obito, Orange Mask Obito, or Orange Mask Obito fought Minato, this was a badass character. When Obito lost the mask, he felt like a completely different character, and his redemption arc was just... I don't get it. I don't get why the Naruto community wants every character, like their favorite character, to be the most powerful, the most cleanest redemption you can give them. They have to be as well as any other character. Like, no. When you want your favorite character to live through everything and want them to be the most powerful character, you are also ruining them. Obito should have died by Minato, and that should be it. Kabuto's redemption, I don't like it too much. I don't think he needed a redemption at all. I think that was fucking stupid. But I can understand what Kabuto was trying to do. But redemption arc, no, it wasn't needed. Obito and Kabuto should have never got redeemed. It was just dumb in my opinion. White Mask Obito was one of the best characters, period. But when you redemption him, it's like, no, you were so cool earlier, but now you're dying by an alien. Like, people like Obito's speech, not his death. When I talk about Obito's death, I think they're talking about the speech, not him being killed by Kaguya. If you want Obito to have a speech, let him have a speech, but the way that he died by an alien, and not by Madara, or his master Minato, or his best friend Kakashi, we got robbed, man. That would have been an emotional journey, but no, he had to be killed by an overpowered alien. But yeah, Obito's redemption arc is just dumb. I get it. You want your favorite character to be strong and have his redemption, but honestly, the more you do that, you're actually ruining the character. Like, Jiraiya, he's one of my favorite characters. But just because he's one of my favorites doesn't mean I want him to live forever. I'm glad Jiraiya died because it built story and the emotional stress and pain that we all had to go through with Jiraiya. If he did not die, it would actually ruin it. I'm glad Jiraiya died, and he also was my favorite character. I don't want him to live through everything just because he's my favorite. Let characters die for a better story. Madara Uchiha's character is super overrated. He gets buffed in the series too much, and to the point where you can't come up with a way to defeat him. Yes, Madara is too overpowered. And overrated. Yeah, from a character point of view, Pain, Itachi, Jiraiya, even Evil Gaara, you can debate. Like, there's a lot of characters you can think that you can probably think, hey, I think I like them better than Madara. I don't think Madara is the best Rin. I think people look at him more as a badass rather than the character writing point of view that Kishimoto gave him from Hashirama's backstory. People just look at Madara like the badass and the guy who can fight anybody. People don't look at him like a Pain or a broken child that was cursed and had to deal with a lot of stress and depression and anger. Evil Gaara, his backstory. Madara's just known as the badass, but not a deep character, and it sucks because there is good character writing in him, but people just look at him like a powerhouse character, but there was more value within him. And yes, He is overrated to an extent, but I also feel like Madara is well deserved because he did live up to the hype and he did live up to everything that was promised us when he was eventually going to, come up to this series. I don't think Kishimoto disappointed us besides him, being killed off by Black Zetsu. But Madara being overrated, I completely understand that, but I would still, again, Pain over Madara. Pain is my boy. Sakura was a decent female character. P.S. The Boruto manga is garbage. I like the Boruto manga when they were doing the character writing, with the Kawaki, Boruto, and Naruto relationship kind of stuff, like they're doing right now in the anime. But after that, they just went to battle after battle. Kashin Koji versus Team 7, Naruto and Sasuke, Jigen, Kashin Koji, Irashiki, or whatever his name is. Like, after the heartwarming Boruto, Naruto, Kawaki relationship that was going, it just became a true battle shonen, and then I just got bored of it because they were just focusing too much on conflict and battles. Like, where's the character writing? Where's the relationships between Sakura and adult Sasuke? Sakura and adult Sasuke? Naruto going to Jiraiya's grave or something. Like, they don't do that. They're lacking so much character depth, in my opinion. But Sakura being a decent female character, yeah, she was. She wasn't truly awful, but there's criticism with her that are fair. I've criticized her and stood up for Sakura at the same time on this channel. So yeah. I think Kishimoto should have not given Madara too many ass pulls / powers. I agree. Madara got a pass on everything. He got a pass on everything. Like, fighting with no eyes, instantly got his arm cut off and then put it right back together with the white Zetsu arm. Madara took many blows and survived the 8th gates and took it like a joke. Madara is fucking broken. Anyways, guys, I'm Delix. Thank you for another Hot Topics videos. Please subscribe, and if you want a certain comment you think I need to address of awareness on this series, just message me on Twitter. But yeah, that's all for now. I'm Delix. Subscribe if you want, and stay weird. Bye.